Hey guys, Sunday, February 9th, 2025. Let's see what the Black Widow wants to do this week. So far, looking at the weather this week, natural gas demand is pretty low. As you can see, 1/3 of the US will be cool to very cold as frosty weather systems tracks through snow and highs of 0 to 30s. Coldest North Plains. The southern 2/3 of the US will be mild to nice with highs of 50s and 80s. That's pretty much, I guess, my ballpark, somewhere around here. This is Tennessee. I believe that's Tennessee, somewhere around here. So you can see the weather. So it's going to be not that much demand. Looking at commitments of traders report, you can see that we are stalling around here with large speculators around minus 65,000. And you can see commercial kind of stalled here. They've stalled since January 20th and last week and February the 3rd. So they just kind of sideways now. Large speculator sideways with a little bias to the downside. Same thing with commercial. You can see that retail, that's you and me, we're buying that gas thinking it's going higher. So be cautious. It's going to be an interesting week, and we're going to go over the charts to see what's going to be cooking this week. Okay, looking at our chart here that I use, pretty mixed geometry, Gartley patterns, timing points. As you can see, we were up here. We went as high as 436 and been penetrating and found support at this pivot. And if it was to push lower, 251, even the 266, this will be a sweet spot. Even this angle right here, if it was to push, but you want to hold at least 313. If it goes in here, it's going to start digging in even more. Looking at our action reaction lines, we cracked this one right here, pulled in. So this is kind of support. Now we crack through here, it's going to bounce and find support in the next action reaction line. This is the Gartley pattern, and so far it broke through all these targets, even 323. So this one is already, fulfilled its course to the downside. This one is an ABC, so there's a little more here. So you got targets if you want to use this technique: 302, 280, and 264 to the downside. That's pending that we hold at least $3. But if we don't, these are targets to the downside using the ABC right here. This is pretty much mirror cycles, and I am looking at what is bullish, and so far this is the only one bullish. Most of this, and this is where we at right here. So you can see a lot of them push even lower. You can see this is the 21st. Some even pushing to March, but the 21st is here. And then this one skyrockets. So this one kind of reminds me, maybe I can't remember the year that we did this kind of price action, but this is mirror cycles. They're just kind of different because you're getting it from swing points and kind of seeing what rhymes from the past. So far, there's only one bullish, and pretty much a lot of them are kind of sideways to lower. So it just kind of gives you a bias or a sentiment of what could possibly play out. 297 here. This is Gann speed lines, and you can see the 261. That's the halfway point. Sometimes prices like to meet the halfway point, even the 1/4, 243. So anywhere in this ballpark, 279, 261, 243. If we take out 297, now we hold that up. Obviously, your 200%, 263, and then your your halfway point, which is a 434 and 3. You say 4 and 3 cents. Looking at our Gann speeds over here, we're kind of hovering around the 313. Same thing, 251 could be your sweet spot here, and 221 and 282. Using our Gann angles, we fail the 1x1 here, and your next support will probably be here, this 1x2. And so far, we haven't kissed it yet, but it could be a potential target if it's gonna take out this low right here. Fibonacci, I think that's it. Pretty much holding that there. Oh, it's Fibonacci. Yeah, you're 50%. So there's a lot of the Fibonacci and Gann stuff is kind of similar. It's just kind of different pricing in the way to calculate it. So yeah. And the Dewey cycle, watch out. Keep on your radar for the 13th. And the Dewey cycle bottoms out somewhere around 18, 19. Pretty much the week of the 17, 18, 19 right here. And then this Dewey cycle goes up. You can see that the Gann swing lines are negative and this one is positive. So this is going by 3. So you can see that it's kind of mixed. But the Dewey cycle did pick this turning point right here because this was the high on January the 13th. That was at 436 that we hit. But since we had a close, it was lower. But don't get deceived because of this looks higher. But that's that 16, 17 spike that we had. That I said that was probably going to be your next turn. And then the 27th. So everything was a domino effect down. You can see that the Dewey cycles are bottoming out here. And then they're gonna rally up until, I guess, maybe if this is going to play out, it'll be March the 14th. So this is all speculation. But so far, this worked out here. And so far, we got a nice bump here. So, but now the Dewey cycle says there's more coming. So is it going to follow it? Just be cautious, be vigilant. And Andrew's pitch for this will probably, if we're going to push lower, this could probably be an area that bulls are going to show up and nibble a little bit and maybe get an exposure because you see that it's holding from here, from this anchored VWAP, not anchored VWAP, but this anchored point right here. Support. So if we go down here, there might probably be another bounce. And that could be all landing into February, which is the sweet spot where natural gas likes to turn around. I think that's it. Let's go to the next clip. Okay, looking at a massive chart, I'm going to try to see if I can fly through these things. You can see the first time we kissed the 45, one by one in a while. The analogy like Neo. Jump off the building for the first time, typically fail. Now the second time could be different. I think the second time maybe could break through, but we'll see. But whoever went short, I say, it's a 50-50 shot. Well, you made money because you got that nice move to the downside. The Black Widow came to your rescue. So far, we're right now between the 1x2 and we failed the 1x1 on the, what's that low right there? That's that February 20. That's the 152 low. That's right. So you know where we at? We're on a weaker side. We're not on the strong side. We're on the weaker side. So let's go to the next clip. Okay, so this is the last clip. Let's see how our models have been working out. So first off, I wanted to put a trend line because then the trend line could tell me if all these models could possibly play out. All these models will be void if we were to hold this trend line and push higher and take out 436 and higher, maybe into $5. Then maybe these models into February probably won't play out. So first off, you could say our 13th, which lines up with our model here. This model was forecasting a low all the way to the 8th. So far, we kind of bounced off a little earlier, so it didn't go all the way down to the 8th. And then from here, the next model is indicating, I don't know what I'm doing here, a push lower to March the 8th. So this one needs to be on watch. We can maybe go sideways and then maybe plunge, and that's our low there. So this is just the computer forecasting this, the algo. So this is a day you want to watch if we continue going sideways to lower. So far, it did kind of pick from here that maybe we'll start turning, and that was pretty much the high of the 13th. The next one is that it'll rally on the 18th, and so far we didn't get that. We kind of rallied on the 21st, went up, but I guess it did pick this high. So it did a little, came in on the 18th. It said, yeah, we're going to go higher, but then once we get to the, I guess the 23rd, get out, and so far that kind of played out well. From here, there's some next model set from the 25th. You should go short. His prices have a potential to go lower all the way to the 13th, and that's coming up. So negative, negative. This one kind of like locks in around the 12. This kind of reminds me of some of the Dewey cycles and some swing lows there. So keep an eye on there. Keep an eye out here. So a lot of it's projecting, lower prices. The only thing positive was this one, and it picked the top here to go down, and then there's another one here, but all of these are all negative. So we're supposed to have a low here, and we went in reverse. So I don't know if this is now going to play out, test this low, and maybe even push lower, because these models are confirming that. So far, this is, you could say, I don't know, it's not that bad. We just got to see if it's going to continue pushing lower. This is going to be an interesting week because we have a possible low coming in on the 12th, which is Wednesday. Maybe the numbers come out and maybe they're good. EIA report and pop. I don't know. But worst case could go sideways to lower. And maybe we could get a pop on the 25th and on March the 8th. So let's get all these out now so we can kind of clean up this chart here a little bit. But let's leave it there because a lot of things are kind of all, clustering up here. Let's look at our quarterly. So far, our quarterly is negative. We took out some key levels, it's 366. Looking at our monthly, we same thing. We took out those key levels. Once you broke this trend line and took out these key levels on our monthly, now we got to see if this is going to hold. That's why we're bouncing off of there, which is at $3 and change. And then on our weekly, we had last week was negative. Well, this was kind of positive, but it was a little more on the chop side. But 2 weeks ago was very negative. And that's it. Let's look at our Gann. Nothing there. Nothing there. We're below this angle right here. There's a lot of support down here, but we're not there yet. And I think that's it for that. Let's see if we could just close this. And look at our spectrum cycle. And so far, these are bottoming out here. You can see for the 21st. So this is a hot zone that I'm watching. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes like that. And then boom, one more leg down. Let's look at a composite of that model. You can see that this is your bell curve right here. This is where there's going to be a lot of interest with these spectrum cycle right here. Pretty much we're entering that sweet spot. And maybe, just maybe, it's already ahead of itself and maybe it's not going to go to the lows here and test it into the sweet spot. Maybe from here it rallies, so you have to be aware of that also. So maybe you could just put a trend line and see if it holds it. If it breaks in and it kind of, as long as it's kind of sideways to grinding higher, maybe it's not going to go as low and maybe it's not going to test 304. But if it is, takes out $3 and change or $2.98, it's always going to push even lower. You could probably maybe even see it around 231, around 250, 251, around there and change. So let's see what else we have here. Let's see, let's take the spectrum cycle out of there. This is my solar cycle. So far, the solar cycle is pretty good. You got this bottom here, and now it peaked. And now the solar cycle says, be careful, there's more downside. And then it bottoms around the 20th. So you got to see today's Sunday night open, US, overnight session. If it starts pushing lower, there could be a high probability that now this sun cycle is back on track. You can see here it kind of fell off and went higher and did its own thing while the sun cycle was, pushing lower and bottoming out somewhere around the 20th. And then you can see this like a rubber band, it like pulls it back in. So that's my solar cycle, and that's what it's forecasting. I call this one the Gann cycle. So this one is, this one could just kind of rally here and kind of pull back, and somewhere around March the 27th, get this nice pop. So it's more like Chop Fest. At least the the solar cycle is telling you, yeah, you know what? From here, maybe this week you just go short. And I haven't even looked at the statistics in regards to this week coming up. So I got to see how that's all going to pan out. Maybe this one is the one leading the charge. Let's see what's here. This is another one that I'm watching, but I'm not leaning too much on it anymore. It's just these two right here. So lastly, we'll close this video. I don't want to make it too long. This is our annual. You can see this is our fast annual. Bottoms out somewhere around here. Mid annual. This is 6 years. So right here, anywhere between this week. This week. There's a bottom here, and then another 321. Annual decimal, all lining up right here. So this is a hot zone right here. And we got to see if this is the low or this one coming. So that's what you got to really pay attention this week. Is this the low or this one coming? Well, and then on top of that, for all you Elliott wave guys, this is a wave 4 according to my chart. And there is a low probability that this is going to continue to a wave 5. The statistics are proving that it's very, very low that it's going to go up. And then you got all this against the Elliott wave theory saying that, you know, there's more down pressure coming. So we got to see. It's all about this low. Who's taking it out? Are we going to be fail new low and pop? Or crack it and follow all these and then bottom out and go sideways from here and then rally. So lastly, Gann said to look 10 years in the past, see what 10 years did. And so far, 10 years ago, we bottomed somewhere around the 6. We kind of popped and now it's like an inverse. So looking at that, is it now we have more downside and we make a low somewhere between the 22nd and the 4th? I don't know. We'll see. Too early to tell, but if it was to go lower, maybe this is all inverse and maybe it's going to go as low as the 22nd. Let's look at 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it kind of chops around. Let's say Monday, get a little pop, sell off all the way pretty much to Friday. And on the 22nd. So 22nd is hot. There's big transitions from 20 years ago on the 22nd to rally. And you could say 10 years ago, a nice pop and then back. So keep that in mind in the analysis, depending on what direction you're leaning. But that's it. Like I said, key levels to watch is that low, pullback, bounce. My strategy is go long. And then if it goes back, then it was a false breakout. But if we don't pull back, there's a 50% from these two swing points, and it finds the middle and bounces and takes out that high, then I'm going long. Maybe the wave 4 is working, is ignoring all the cycles, and we're going to work on a wave 5. So you got things that are going against each other. Elliott wave says higher, wave 4 into wave 5. All the cycles are saying you're very close to a bottom. So maybe it is that we all rally from here. But you want to not take out that low this week, because if not, they're going to push lower. And you know that commitments of traders report large speculators and commercial are sideways for the last couple of weeks. So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do too, and maybe checking out the weather and looking at the EIA reports and the demand. And know on top of that, that we are below the 1x1. So we're more on the weaker side. So we're maybe prone to push even lower. You can't forget the geometry of these things also. We're not here trying to figure out what we're going to do where we're more on a stronger side in regards to geometry above the 1x1 on the 45. We're more here on the weaker side, sniffing out the cycles and the natural cycles and what has happened in the past to see maybe there's a potential where we could turn here, but it all depends. sideways here, take out the low, or from here, head fake and push higher. I'm going to sign out. Hope you like this video, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on that gas.